Hello everybody, welcome to a trial short episode of Big Sky Hobby Corner. In the last video I stated that I got some new equipment for Christmas and I've got to try it out. We got to try this setup to see how it's working. I've got the new camera on a tripod. It's supposed to be reduce the shakiness, but anyway, we'll get into that mess later when I put this on the computer. So what I was doing before, I would record an episode on my phone and just upload it straight from my phone. No editing, no nothing. And that's how I was doing it for a while. So with this setup, what I've got to do is I'll record an episode and I'll transfer it onto my laptop, which I think I have fixed. And then I'll do all the editing. I'll take out all the bull crap or I'm sitting here trying to think of something. I can edit that stuff out, put an intro in, and do different things, broaden my capabilities, if you will. So I thought I would just give a trial run here, just a short episode, and we'll talk Nitro motors for just a little bit. Kind of an overview, if you will, because the way it appears, most everybody's going electric. I understand electric technology has far exceeded what I ever thought when it first hit the market. And I understand it's quiet, it's reliable. You can do a lot of things. Either it's going to go or it's not. I mean, bottom line, I've got a couple electrics myself and they're just fine. The Wacky Wonders my son builds are electrics and they're a hoot to fly. And just like an electric, either it's going to go or it's not. So, that being said, that's kind of more or less taken over the market, and liquid fueled engines are kind of going away. Nitro especially, because it is kind of expensive to run them anymore. A gallon of fuel, you're looking at 20 bucks or better for your typical 15% nitro. And I do run nitro. My Avastars I fly are nitro. My son's PT60 is a nitro. There's just something I love about it. People have also shied away from it because they're kind of a pain in the butt to tune. I hope to get you over that fear in a later episode as we break in the motor on our 4-star 40. It is a very low time Evolution 61, but we're still going to go through the break-in process on that, okay? That way we know we're broken in proper. And I'm going to show you guys how I do it because I tune by ear, not by tack or nothing like that. So, what is a nitro engine? Okay, long ago, back when things first started, if you want to reach back even further, in the 20s and 30s, liquid-fueled motors were actually diesel, believe it or not. And that evolved into, later on, into, I think it was late 40s or mid-50s, they evolved into the alcohol-burning or nitro engines. And that evolved later into what we're using nowadays in the 90s, your typical 40 size engine. What I've got right here is an OS 46LA. It's a good little motor. We run 15% nitro in that. And what that is, here's a gallon of Wildcat. What that boils down to, the mixture of this fuel that runs this engine on a 2-stroke, it's 15% nitromethane, 18% lubrication, which is a synthetic castor oil. Some fuels actually use true castor oil. And 67% methanol, alcohol. Okay, it's a small alcohol engine. The nitro gives a little bit of kick, and of course your lubrication is for lubricant. Like your two-cycle dirt bike motor. If you took your 2-cycle dirt bike motor and crossed it with a diesel, you would have our engines that we use, because it does not depend on a spark. It depends on compression and heat to start the reaction or the running of the motor. Now, we'll get into the technical part of tuning because that's going to take a little time later, okay? But really, you have your engine, okay? And then at the top, you have a glow plug. What that is, it's just a little bolt-on or screw-in element, okay, that is usually nickel wire that's coated with platinum. And then when you charge this, what it does, that little coil glows, okay, red hot. You start flipping your motor over, okay, and it blows that mist of fuel across that glow plug. As it compresses, it heats up, and boom, starts the two-stroke reaction. After it warms up, which doesn't take but a second, you can, providing your motor's tuned correctly, you can remove your power source, and that engine will continue to run until you remove the fuel source. Okay, that's where it's kind of like a diesel. A diesel, you know, you can take every ounce of power away from it, and it'll continue to run until you take the fuel away from it. That's how these work. Okay, you have, oh man, I can already tell where this is going to take some getting used to. You have a carburetor. You have your high-end mixture, and on the throttle arm typically is your low-end mixture. Okay, and that's how you get everything tuned. You're going to continuously tune on these motors because they're sensitive to barometric pressure, temperature, humidity. There's a lot of things that evolve into the way these things run well. It's not that bad once you develop an ear for it. You can get them running. After you get them broke in, you can get them running, and with application of full throttle, a pinch of the fuel line, knowing what to listen for, and a couple clicks of your high end, you'll have it running well, and you'll fly the day away. Now, sizes. There are a ton of different sizes. There is the 10 size, the 0.10, all the way up to, sheesh, I think they're into the 4000 series, which are big motors. What I have right here is the Super Tiger 3200. The Super Tiger 3200 essentially is a 32cc engine. That's nitro. Now, one thing to keep in mind, just kind of a rule of thumb, the smaller the motor, the more nitro it likes. It has to have that little bit of extra punch to get it going, or to keep it going. As your engines get bigger, you reduce the nitro. This big motor, the 3200, I would actually run on what's called a no nitro fuel. All it is alcohol and lubricant, methanol and castor. That's all it is. These motors like that kind of fuel. You start adding nitro to it, you're going to start having detonation problems, which could lead to a hole in the piston. And you don't want that, because then you get into rebuilding and all that good stuff. Been there, done that, not going to do it again. Now, people have gotten away from these bigger motors because they're expensive to run. Like I was saying, a gallon of fuel is $20 or better. Okay, by the time it gets to your house, it's probably around $35 for 1 gallon. What people started doing instead is going to gasoline engines. Now, most of you probably are well aware of this, but for those of you that aren't, they go to a gas engine. Now, most of my gassers typically are 30cc airplanes. The Valiant that I fly, it's a 30cc airplane, but because of the onboard smoke system that's on it, I like a little more power, so I'm actually running a 3mm 53cc TOC gasoline engine with an electronic ignition. My Taylorcraft is a 29cc magneto engine. My Christian Eagle, my Byron Original, the world's biggest foamy, it's actually a 50cc that's on top of that, or in front of that. It is an old Quadra 50. It's got you wind up the propeller, you let her go, and it's got the magneto, and it starts, and those engines run well. Well, those are two strokes as well. And I'll tell you what, I promise you, just like radios, oil mixture is a piss and matching conversation. I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? And it works for me. You may choose to go a different route. That's fine and dandy. Do what works for you, okay? When I mix the fuel for these, number one, I use good, clean, synthetic oil, okay? And that's Redline cart oil, or your two-stroke racing oil, okay? It's the red stuff. I mix my fuel 40-to-1, okay? Braking period, everything. Now, I can feel the heat coming already. You got to do the way the engine manufacturer says, okay? This, that, and other. I run this ratio. I run 100-to-1. That's fine and dandy. You do what you do for you. I do 40 to 1 red line. I run that and anything from 20 cc on up and everything, and I never have any problems with any of it, and everything stays clean and great. Matter of fact, that 50 cc engine that's on the Valiant was on a BME Edge 540, and it met an untimely death with the ground. We won't talk about that, it makes me sad. I took that motor off of that airplane and I wanted to put it on the Valiant. The Valiant was flying okay with the 30 cc engine that was on it, but I just wasn't comfortable with the power. I like an airplane with authority. If I get in a bind, I can stab full throttle and climb out of it and get out of there. Okay. With the added extra weight of the smoke fluid tank, the pump, and the extra battery, it was just kind of lazy in that aspect, so I wanted to put that 50 cc on there. Ran redline oil in that motor, and I thought I'd go ahead and pull it apart, clean it up, and get it ready for service again. And in that process, I pulled that motor apart. That thing was clean. There was hardly any carbon buildup at all on the top of that piston. You know, normally you pull your two strokes apart, and there's a lot of carbon buildup on it. And this one hardly had any at all. Matter of fact, I think what carbon was there was from the previous owner, and which was no big deal. You get it. It happens. The motor was just super clean. Carburetor was clean. It was just beautiful inside. Really, all I did, I took a paper towel, wiped it up, cleaned it up a little bit, cleaned what little bit of residue there was on top of the piston, bolted it back together, and it's a superb running motor right now. Just good stuff. Another oil that is good to use is SIG Klotz, or Klotz two-stroke oil. You can get it just about anywhere. You can order it from SIG, or I think a lot of dirt bike shops, they carry it. That's a good two-stroke oil. What you want to try to avoid, if you can, is I use it in my chainsaws and my weed whackers. That's great, but I don't want to use it in an airplane. Don't go to Walmart and get your SuperTech ashless two-stroke oil. Don't use this stuff in a boat, because that does lead to a lot of carbon buildup. When you got these reeds in these motors, they're sensitive to a lot of things. They can get gummy. Just don't do that. Just get a good quality two-stroke oil for your airplane. Okay, you'll in the end you'll be glad you did. Okay. What else was there? You take care of your motor. It'll take care of you once you get everything. Now, the thing about running the gasoline two-stroke engines, they're more along the lines of set it and forget it. Once you get it broke in and you get it tuned, you should never have to really touch it again. Well, with all that being said, it's starting to cool off out here. I didn't run my heater very long because I just wanted to try this equipment out and get another video out to you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, leave it down in the doobly-doo down below. And I do my best to answer everybody. The one thing I don't deal with is hateful comments. I'll probably just delete it because I don't have any room in all the shit I got to deal with. I don't have any room for that, okay? So those will be gone. Anything else, I will do my best to answer. Give me a shout, and we'll get you taken care of. Recommend these videos to your friends that are into the hobby, or somebody that would be interested in getting into the hobby. I'd be more than happy to help them out. I've helped a lot of people get started, and I enjoy every minute. Some of you guys even have my own personal cell phone number, not my business one, and when you need help, they shoot me a text, and I'll do what I can to help them. Anyway, well, for this short, I'm going to go ahead and cut her down, and we're going to go back in the house, plug this in, and do some editing, and see if I can get another video made, or posted. It'll probably be the next day after I shoot this, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.